And what is up, everyone? I am Joe DeHoyos. I am host of Beyond the Woodline. Real quick before we get started, I always like to take some time and talk to you guys about what I do. For those of you who don't know, I am the executive director for the JRG, which stands for the Jevning Research Group. It's a Bigfoot group headed up and founded by Mr. William Jevning. He's got like 50 years of experience in this field. He was friends with Renee DeHinman, um, John Green, who are the original pioneers in this field. Um, if you're interested, man, we've got teams in New York State, Michigan, Ohio, Maine, Florida, Louisiana, Oregon, California, New Mexico. Did I say Oklahoma yet? I don't remember. Texas, of course, and I always forget somebody else. So if you're interested in joining, we don't have a team in your state. You can start your own team, or you can join an existing team. But you don't have to do what you want to do. But we will vet you. We will vet anyone we set you up with. Um, just because we like to be careful, and unfortunately, there are some crazy people in this world, right? So uh, we'll we're going to try to take care of everybody, but we ask everybody also, if you hook up with anybody, join anybody's team, check them out, research the researchers, with what we always say. Also, in the description, if you guys are interested, I've got a good friend of mine named Steffi. She makes REM pods. I got a couple behind me. If you go to her page, that's Steffi's Creations on Etsy, you get a 15% discount if you use the code Woodline. I don't get any kickbacks. She doesn't sponsor the show. She doesn't pay me any money. She's just a really good person, makes really good products. Go check her out. Um, then also, a good friend of mine, he's into 3D printing, makes some great stuff, amazing stuff. Again, he doesn't sponsor me. He doesn't pay me anything. He's just a really good guy, makes good stuff. Layered Legends, he is in the description also. So go check him out. With all that being said, I know you guys don't tune in to hear me ramble off all night. Tonight I have with me Caitlin, Linda, and Leva from
Yes.
Paranormal Coven. I got it right on the first try, so thank God for that. How are you guys doing tonight?
Doing
Doing
good.
good.
That's good, guys. Thanks a lot for joining the show. I do appreciate it. I know it's a little bit later where you guys are at, so I appreciate it. And Miss Sandra, my longtime listener, man. She's one of the originals, one of the originals, man. She's been looking at the show for a long time. She says hello to me and to you guys. So real quick, if you guys don't mind, we'll just kind of start with Caitlin and work our way down. What got you guys interested in the paranormal? What got you guys started?
So for me, I think it all started like when I was a kid. I know that when I was like, I don't know, 4 or 5, I started experiencing paranormal things. At the time, I really didn't know that that's what it was. But as I got older, like things started to fall in line that made me really know that that's exactly what it was.
Mhm.
Um, Almost every house I've lived in has had something paranormal happen into it. Um, and then when Linda and I became friends, she was also really into that. And then we just have always been into it since then. So, yeah.
Cool. What about you, Linda? What got you started?
I'd say early on in life for me, I had three imaginary friends as a kid, and I still remember them to this day, like every little detail about them. But my mom always would think that I was talking with something,
Hmm.
there. And we kind of would catch photographs of, certain people in the house that was not there. Just so it kind of transpired more and more from there. And then eventually, when I was about 12, 13 years old, I seen something in my room that was darker than dark. And it was just really, I mean, it terrified me. It was like that kind of that, what would you call that fear? It's like, I don't know.
Like a
Because
primal fear?
up and you were just like
Mm.
really guttural fear.
Yeah.
And I've just been really curious and getting involved with it.
What about you, Leva?
I've always been the one that wasn't a big believer,
Mhm.
and then with Linda and Caitlin, Linda's my sister, sister-in-law and then got with Caitlin, and we thought, why not take me out to make me a believer? And I'm a big believer now.
So was there a certain event or a moment that made you believe?
At one of our locations at Randolph County Asylum, I just felt very uneasy the whole time I was there, and I was in the basement. I could hear stuff, and you could see little bit shadows and stuff moving. It's just that, and then we had this haunted doll that came into my house. So from there on, it's just been
Okay.
big.
Yeah. Yeah. So was that like y'all's first investigation then together?
No.
No.
I would say I started going to places first. So we'd already always talked about going to Waverly Hills in Louisville, but I got the opportunity to go first. So I went, and that was, I think, where the location really started. And then we got to go back together.
Mhm.
And that's when we got to experience a lot of things together. And then we've been going to Whisper Estate in Mitchell, Indiana. We've been to Randolph County in Winchester, the Stone Mansion, the Blackford County Jail, the Monroe Demon House, Indiana State Sanatorium, and on and on. So
What was your most active location?
I would say Randolph was our most active.
I would say Randolph. Visually seeing active wise, Waverly, because you can really visually just see shadows walking everywhere. To me, at Waverly, it's almost like they're kind of used to people at this point, so they really don't want to do much. They just kind of sneak around or they watch. But Randolph was, I think, the really eye opener.
And where's the Randolph at?
I'm sorry.
Where's that Randolph location?
Okay. Randolph County Infirmary / Asylum. It's in Randolph County, Indiana.
Okay.
Town called Winchester.
I think you're the second or third team from Indiana, and I think it's very underrated. I don't think people realize how much is really actually there as far as the paranormal goes. Yeah.
If you actually lived here, you would see, like, when you get involved in this stuff, it is very underrated because there's been so many dark locations here. I mean, there was the Gary, Indiana house that, that Zach bought, and then you had the Monroe Demon House, and to me, it's got a very dark energy to it.
I agree with Linda on that one.
Why do you think that is?
Indiana is really big on the map of like haunted locations, just like a lot of people don't know about it. And I think it's because, I mean, when you hear about all the locations that everyone talks about, you hear them in like California, Texas, like the bigger states. So when people are like, "Oh, we'll come to Indiana," they're like, "Why would we come to Indiana?" I'm like,
look at Horn.
because Indiana is like really like it has a lot of haunted history and has a lot of locations here.
But we've also had a lot of cryptid sightings here as well.
Yeah, I found that out too. I had a young lady on the show from Indiana, and she had really, really impressive Bigfoot encounter. So that was really cool. And I think either I talked to the guy already on the phone. I just don't remember if we recorded yet. But he had I guess a crawler or what do you call it? A rake sighting?
We
Yeah.
call them here.
Okay. Yeah, and I don't remember if I recorded with him or not because I also do a different segment where I record and talk to people too. So yeah, it's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool encounter. And then yeah, I think it's very underrated state for all this stuff really. Yeah. What's been your favorite location as a team?
I think that we collectively have come to the conclusion that probably Randolph and Waverly are probably our two like top favorites.
Mhm.
And I think that's just because both of those locations we've had like solid evidence there versus like we go to other locations and it's like, it's one of those boring nights.
Yeah.
Say also, I know the first time we ever went to Whisper, we got a lot of evidence, but the two times we went after that, we've not received much.
Mhm.
The Monroe Demon House, we really didn't get much there at all, besides the mattress thing and a few footsteps and that type of thing. But I would agree that Waverly and Randolph's probably the top ones so far.
Yeah, Yeah, and that just kind of happens sometimes. It's like when I tell people about going out, doing the Bigfoot stuff. Sometimes we just go out there, we just end up camping for the weekend, getting nothing, which nothing's
Right.
wrong with that, I certainly don't mind sitting out by a campfire all night, but just the way it goes. And I went to the Haunted Hill House here in Texas, up in Mineral Wells, uh, and we got very, very little activity there. A lot of other teams have gotten quite a bit of evidence from there, but the night that we went, the 2 nights we went, we didn't get anything. I mean, just a very, very small amount of activity, but it was still a cool place to go visit, and I'd still go back there if I get a chance. But yeah, it's just what happens sometimes.
Yeah, that's actually, I mean, it's happened. I think it happens more often than actually getting evidence. And that's, it's like, it's a sad thing about it because I know that everyone who is involved in the paranormal, like we all get excited about going to those locations and we think that we're going to like catch something amazing. But most of the time, I mean, it's just us sitting around like trying to think of things that we can either stir up or, um, or we just goof off because there's nothing happening and
Yeah.
just what it is.
Yeah,
There's-
because I think in the beginning too, Leva, fresh coming into this, she would watch a lot of other bigger, channels of going to the same location, and then she would kind of have this expectation in her mind of like, oh, that's what I'm gonna get, and I no, you never, don't go off of this person or that person's experience. You got to go for yourself and have your own, because unfortunately there are a lot of channels that,
I was
fake
very
stuff,
disappointed.
It's
especially
either
with
they
anyone
fake
else.
stuff or like they just have nights where they have the night that it picks up on a lot of
Yeah.
activity.
I mean, it's not every channel that quote unquote, fake stuff, but
Right.
a lot of the big ones, since I've started editing videos, I start picking up on a lot of stuff. I'm like, wait a minute, I caught that, So it's
Yeah,
one of the
yeah. We went to this house here in Texas. It's called the Bolton House, and we got very little activity there also. But it wasn't until me and my team got home and we're all going through our video and audio that we started like finding stuff here and there, which is pretty cool. That even though we didn't find it at the moment, and it was kind of quote unquote boring, right? Um, when you get back home and this was like maybe I don't know 2 3 weeks later, one of the girls she heard a dog barking, and we called the owner, and the owner's like, yeah, people have recorded the dog barking, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that happened to us when we went to Blackbird County Jail. The whole night we were there, I mean, there was like a few things that happened, but for the most part, we just hung out and goofed off. Um, but I know that when I went home and I started editing the video, there was a lot of voices that I actually captured, especially when we all started doing our solos through the building. And none of us heard it while we were there, but like when you edit and you can raise the volume and actually pay attention and listen, there were so many voices I caught, which I was really shocked because I wasn't expecting the video to turn out good, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, what's some of your best evidence that you guys have captured?
I think a lot of it has been local cemeteries has really been the main. I know the first like main experience I had at Waverly, I was not filming at that time. Like it was just kind of like an exploration. And I think the time we went, same thing. But this time we go back, we're going to actually film it and hopefully we can catch the good stuff. But I think a lot of it has been this local cemetery we have here that we call the Old Hag Cemetery. That's just per our device has told us that there was an old hag in the woods. So we just kind of started calling it that. And Leva has caught a lot of the best photographic stuff I've ever seen out there. And then my husband, Jeremy, he's caught some eerie photos at Randolph County in the basement where he caught the old woman, like a shadow of the old woman down there.
Oh wow! So tell me more about these photos, Leva. What did you see and what did you capture?
We caught a figure of, I'm assuming it would be the old hag. It was like a blue, I mean, you can see plain as day, the outline, the face, features, and everything. And then
We'll say what she.
Yeah, we already did that one.
Okay.
And then we're out there investigating. And one night, I'm going to take a picture. So I took a picture, got home, and I thought, man, what is that? It was like a blue woman, like bitten at cricket lady like this, peeking around a tree. And I had to send it to Linda and then Caitlin. I was like, they were looking at it wrong. And I'm like, no, turn it this way. Yeah, she was like bent neck like this.
Well, the way Leva sent it, it was like sideways.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that's odd. And Leva's like, I turned it if you actually face it back the way that it actually was. It's very eerie to think that there's just this random woman, which her hair is up. You can tell. It's like she looks like she's from the 1800s.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's like one of those, like the high top knot, and it's like wrapped around the bun, like really tight.
But she's just kind of like this, looking at the side of the tree, and I don't know. It's just kind of a creepy image to see.
Then we got the figure of a woman inside the cemetery. When me and Linda and our kids went, I mean, you can just see, I don't know, it's like a short little old lady.
Well, then also the one at the very back of the cemetery where she was standing there on the other side of the stone wall.
I mean, yeah. I'll have to have Linda send you those pictures.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I'd like to see that kind of stuff.
Very creepy.
What about EVPs? You guys ever do EVP sessions?
We've tried to do some, but they haven't turned out well. I know that there was one case where we did go and film at a local cemetery, and it's called Schoolhouse Hill, and they were these two big tombstones, and they were knocked over, so we were kind of like just crouched down next to them, and Linda had noticed that there was a tombstone of a baby that was there. And this was like, I was like, well, that's odd. And so we started like doing an EVP recording, and we were talking about the baby. And then when I listened back to it, you can hear a baby crying in the background.
Yeah.
Wow. That is wild.
But the ominous thing about that is there's been tons of skinwalker sightings because the cemetery is surrounded by woods. So you have to go down a trail in the woods to get to this particular cemetery. There's been tons of skinwalker sightings.
Mm-hmm.
And we've caught a couple things when we was sitting there that it looked like little legs. That was weird. It looked like little legs manifesting. And I noticed it just out of the blue, and I was like, that's really weird. Well, then me and Caitlin, when we was actually filming and investigating, we seen it manifest from little baby legs into this full-grown white. It looked like a naked.
Like when I first saw it, and Linda did too, it literally looked like a pale little walking naked baby. And I was freaked out. I was like, what the heck is that we saw? And then the longer that we watched it, like she said, it was like slowly progressing into like a bigger being. And finally when it like, I guess, I don't even know if it like transformed, but it was very big. And I was like, that was wild.
Very long arms, very like, it was like what you would think of a rake in a way. I mean, it looked like you said, it started off like a newborn naked baby, but it was solid white, and then it got bigger, and then so like, nope.
What do you guys got going on over there? You guys keep looking off to the side.
There's just like a lot of noises going on around us, but this happens all the time. Like,
hey,
if up here and we're quiet, I mean, there's noises. You can hear footsteps. A lot of times you can hear voices. And right now we're just like surrounded by noises coming from every direction. So we're like, where's that coming from?
What did you guys think about orbs?
We get a bunch of them in here.
Okay.
I don't know if I have like a real opinion on them other than like, I mean, we've always been told that orbs are like spirits.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, like,
my thoughts when you're investigating and you come across an orb, a lot of times it's very hard for me to be like, okay, that's an orb instead of particles. but unless I, see it moving in an odd direction. So if like investigated a 200-year-old cabin and Caitlin was sitting in the floor and you could see it perfectly come over Caitlin's shoulder, come towards the camera, turn around and go back right behind Caitlin. To me, yes, that's an orb. But if you just see little floating balls, a lot of times
Dust.
I think it's dust.
So before we started recording and when all you guys were sitting down and getting set up, there were orbs going in the picture, like from I guess from Leva's side to Caitlin's side. I saw quite a few, so that was pretty cool. And
Yeah,
so I didn't know, but I haven't seen them since.
That's
So
a very common occurrence,
Yeah.
especially like when we've gone live with people. They usually do see orbs, or especially like when we're up here filming, there's a lot, and they normally come off of Leva or they're surrounding her. But Leva is very connected to Dorothy.
Mhm.
There's like this weird bond between them, and so Dorothy has, I think, whatever is attached to Dorothy is attached to Leva. So when she's up here, there's a lot of activity.
wow, okay. And this is my mom commenting, and she just said something I never even knew. My dad passed away in 2012, but she says, not long after your dad passed away, believe it or not, I saw about 6 orbs in the hall. So that's pretty cool. I didn't know that. I wonder who those 6 other orbs were. you know, yeah, I didn't know that. But yeah, but my dad, after he passed, um, and then shortly, like I said, he passed away in 2012. In 2017 through 2019, I was kind of going through a hard time, and he was around. I mean, I could feel him. He let me know he was around. Um, he turned off. I had moved outside of Houston near San Antonio, about 20 miles outside of San Antonio, and a light switch came on. The light I heard the light switch come on. It flicked up. The light came on, and I came back home in 2019, and I was living with my mom for a little while, and I was telling my mom this story, and I just said that you know what, it had to be Dad. I said I just knew it was Dad. I always could feel him when he was around. And I'm telling her this story about the light switch, and the light switch in the kitchen flicks on and comes on. That was pretty cool.
Wow.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Um,
Yeah, that is.
but I wanted to get back to the cemeteries too. So sometimes you look on, you read different Facebook posts or whatever, and some people are really kind of down on investigating cemeteries. I've done it. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. So I guess you guys have done it. I mean, what is your take on it? On just investigating cemeteries, period.
I think that, well, I know for us, every time we go to a cemetery, we're very respectful to the spirits that are there, because we're not there to disturb the ones that are already the ones that are still there and that they just want rest.
Yeah.
So I think if you go into a cemetery and you are wanting to investigate, just like watch where you're going, make sure you're not bothering people's tombstones, there's stuff on them. Be respectful to the spirits that are there. And if you don't get nothing, there's no sense in like trying to provoke things to happen, because I mean, ultimately you are disturbing the peace of the people that are there.
I would say, yeah, that too. It's very sacred ground, so keep it that way. I don't see a problem with people as long as they're respectful and they don't try to vandalize anything. But the advice I would give to somebody is just watch your surroundings out there. And it's not even just for paranormal reasons. You have the fear of, I mean, there's weirdos out there.
Yeah.
For sure.
Do stuff to you. And then also, especially where we live, wild animals.
Oh yeah.
That's especially when it's getting colder now, we have the threat of bobcats, and so just be mindful of that.
And just so you guys will know, right a little bit after 24-minute mark, it looked like there was 2 orbs. So, but just so you can check that out later on.
Yeah, I
In the
was like,
corner of the eye, I seen a glance of it, and then Caitlin's like, "Did you see
it like flashed.
Oh, really?
It was like
So
my
the first one I saw, it came down like almost above Linda, and then it made a left turn from my left towards Leva, and then I saw the other one kind of shoot across. So anyway, so just remember after the 24-minute mark, you guys go back and look.
Okay.
Yeah, it was pretty wild. It didn't look like anything floating. It just shot like that. So it was pretty cool. It made a
Wow.
J for Joe. There we go. Yeah. But
But as
yeah,
far
go.
as cemeteries go, I think that cemeteries are a good place to go investigate.
Mhm.
Because there's a lot of activity in cemeteries that
Mhm.
people are not aware of.
Mhm.
Um, and there's a lot of spirits there that still want to communicate.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of people that have messages for like their loved ones or just want to be known that they're still around. And I
Right.
think it's good to share those messages and catch them and receive them and
Yeah.
just let people know that they are still there.
And see, that's where I'm at too. I think that there's nothing wrong with going to a cemetery, especially an older cemetery where there's probably not a lot of visitors, you know. And to me, if there's a spirit there that wants to communicate, why not help them out? You know, because to me, if a spirit doesn't want to communicate, they're not going to communicate with you. They just. I mean, I think for the most part, we probably pass spirits every single day, no matter where we're at. And if they want to communicate with you, they will. If not, then they just won't. But that's what I kind of think about it.
Yeah,
You know?
I say that too. I mean, of course, you're going to come across your honorary ones,
Yeah.
The-
Right.
if they were kind of like a jerk and an ass in real life,
Hmm.
like that when they probably go. So that's where you'll get a that's like, get out of here, leave me alone.
Hmm. And so while we're talking about that, what do you think about like? It's like every time you turn around, too, there's a demonic spirit, there's an evil spirit. People talk about. Do you think a mean spirit can get lumped into that category, or even an aggressive spirit that's trying to communicate can get lumped into that category?
I think a lot of people, well, I think it depends on who lumps them in that category.
Right.
I mean, not to throw any names out there, but we all know certain individual that
Okay.
everything's,
Everything. Yeah.
but it's one of those. I think if they're just being honorary or they're not in the mood, a lot of times they're going to say stuff to try to scare you,
Mhm.
and then people immediately lump them in that category.
Well, I
Okay.
think when they get lumped into the category of like mean or aggressive, I think that the word demon is like such a catchy catchphrase
Mhm.
that when they use it, it's like, oh, that's a good place to go because it's like you want that strong paranormal activity. But I think it's just I don't think any of us, especially in this group, has ever come in contact. Well, since Dorothy, have come in contact with something like actually demonic.
Mhm.
I mean, in real time, it's freaky when the device says demon, Satan or something. That's
Yeah.
like, when it's dark in a cemetery, you're like, oh God, but I don't think we've ever come into really a contact with.
I think when the device says that while we're in a cemetery, though, I think it's more along the lines of the spirits there are trying to scare you away so like you're not disturbing their peace. I don't think it's necessarily like one of those where
I think it's like an old man, get off my lawn.
Yeah.
It's kind of like they're like,
Yeah.
oh,
yeah.
Mhm.
But I do think, I mean, I believe 100% there's stuff like that in the world.
Oh yeah.
And it depends on whether you start to begin to dabble in it. And like we were saying with that certain individual, not every haunting or paranormal occurrence is that, but I mean, let's admit he has dabbled in a lot of, that type of thing. So if he's being followed by that stuff, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. So.
Right, yeah. Well, like we were talking before we started recording, where I lived at, um, not only did I see that, the dark figure of the woman, but my oldest, she saw a dark figure in her room go from one corner to the other. It would have been easy for us to say that's demonic, it's a dark figure, but like I said, it wasn't trying to scare us, it was just letting us know it was there, and we were able to keep our composure and keep our calm and like talk about it. Okay, what actually happened, and then talk about it. And it was the funny thing is that every time we had some kind of sighting or experience, especially at night when we were sleeping, we would go right back to bed. We wouldn't like stay up and worry about it or overthink it. We was like, okay, it was just
Yeah,
here, you know.
I a lot of it's just, that's how I think a lot of times, we kind of they scare us, and I don't think it's,
Intentional.
at times, yes, they
Sometimes I
might,
think they do.
intentionally they might be trying to scare you, just get you to leave or get out of their, domain. But a lot of times I don't think they're meaning to scare. I think they're just kind of curious and they're trying to communicate. And
Yeah.
So have there been times where you guys have been scared, legitimately scared?
Oh,
Oh,
yes, a lot. I think just recently for me, we had walked down the old hag trail, and it was late. It was really dark outside. And I know as soon as I started walking down the trail, I started getting like this really uneasy feeling that there was someone following me. And it was weird because no one else was feeling it. But I think maybe it was because I was in the back of the group and I was filming everyone in front of me. But I kept like turning around, like checking my surroundings because I kept feeling like someone was following me. So we finally got down to the bottom and I was like freaked out. I mean, I was ready to go. Even halfway down the trail, I was like, I'm not going to go any further. I told Linda, I was like, you can take the camera because I'm not going to go any further. And she was like, no, we're going together. I'm like, okay, fine. But on our way back up the trail, I kept having this heavy sensation, like there was something attached to me. And I was like carrying an extra 15, 20 pounds. And I was like, I had no clue what it was. And this
Hold,
goes into
hold on.
scripted.
There's an orb right around the 31:30 mark, and just right now when I stop you, that went by Leva's head twice already. But go ahead. I'm sorry. I just want to kind of make that. Okay. I just wanted to note it and record it. That way we can go back and look at it. I'm not crazy.
You notice every time he talks about it, or we hear something.
Yes.
Okay.
So
What the?
we were, as soon as we got back up to the cemetery, the people that we had with us, they had never been into the cemetery just in there in general. So we all went into the cemetery, and as soon as I stepped foot into the cemetery, I don't know what it was, but I felt like I was not welcomed. Like it was an overpowering sense of like I needed to get out of the cemetery. So I literally left them, and I got in my car, and I was like, I'm just gonna wait here. And then when we got back to Linda's house, I literally broke down crying. I was like, I don't know what's wrong. I said, but I know that there is something with me. Something has followed me home. It's weighing me down. I was like, and I just don't feel right. Like my entire body is shaking. Like there's something here. And so Linda started doing some research.
yeah, I'm the researcher of the group, and I was really diving into it just because of the encounters we've had. There was one incident, Leva wanted to go out there and she went alone. Well, I told her, she called me and I said, don't film it, live stream it so I can watch you to make sure you're okay. Randomly, it's not storming, there's no wind, there's no nothing. And she turns the camera and there's this one singular leaf just shaking. And she started going, because Leva's Leva, she started going towards it. And I said, don't. And a bunch of other people in the live stream was like, don't you dare. So ever since that occurrence, and then with Caitlin's, I started really diving into it. And I've kind of come to the conclusion that I think there's puckwudgies out there.
Okay.
A lot.
I agree with Linda 100% on that.
Okay.
Well, it's crazy that she came up with that like conclusion, because since then, like I've had horrible nightmares since then, and it's not even to the point of like normal everyday nightmares. It's like super graphic, super like real, and I wake up in like full body sweats. It's so real. And I was telling Linda about one of them, and in my dream, the demon that was in my dream was like, if you ever Google what a Pukwudgie looks like, in my dream, that's what the demon was. And I'm like, is it telling me that it's definitely around me and it's like attached to me still? Because if so, it's got to go back.
But then, I mean, I think that's what's out there, but I also think there's other things. Of course, I think the hag is out there, but I feel like it's something to do with, you know, kind of maybe witchcraft or.
I just saw the candle go out.
No. You know, something to do with her. But the night we went out for our Halloween special, it was a 3 a.m. challenge. We are out there in the cemetery, maybe got 10 to 15 feet in before we wouldn't go anywhere. Leave us like, I'm not going no more. And we could hear tree knocking.
Oh, wow.
And
Can you hear that?
I was hearing some tapping earlier. Is that what you're hearing? Like some tapping, or what are you hearing?
Gosh, what was that? It almost sounded like that coffin
that was
open.
scratching.
I don't know, it sounded like that coffin open.
That was scratching. I don't know. Ooh. Okay. But yeah. So we've talked to a few people, and they also believe that there's Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Out in there.
That
Yeah.
night, 100 even Bigfoot.
Yeah, I would probably think that's true, especially out in that part. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And I'm talking to you guys, and I'm listening to you guys, but I'm also looking behind you guys too.
You're fine.
But it was funny that all three of you turned around at the same time. That was really kind of funny.
Yeah, it sounded like scratching.
I don't know. It
You
sounded
guys got something going on over there. Maybe when I go back and listen to it, I'll try to up the volume so I can hear what's going on. But I thought I heard tapping earlier. I don't remember what time I saw the orb, but when I saw the orb, I also heard tapping. So, yeah. But, what about you, Leva? Have you ever been scared?
Oh yeah, like she was talking when I went by myself because I knew I shouldn't have went, but I went out there and I took the doll with me, Dorothy.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was my first mistake.
Another orb right by your head. Go ahead.
She knows we're talking about her.
Yeah.
But yeah, nothing ever happened with Dorothy up until the time I decided to take her out of here and take her to that cemetery. I set her on the stone. I was walking around and I panned the camera over, and that leaf was just. I just felt like I needed to go over there, and Linda and which I wasn't paying attention because I'm the one that wants to go to the woods. I can't get her to go. Caitlin will go with me, but she will not go. But I don't know. There's really something at that cemetery that does not, I don't think, wants us there, but wants us in the woods, but not inside the cemetery. And I believe when I left, I brought something home inside Dorothy.
Okay.
Yeah. Ever since then, she's jumped off the table. I mean, we have a video of her inside my house. Not the doll, but like a figure. We're assuming it was Dorothy because somebody that we know that does tarot reading said that the cards read that it was Dorothy sitting on my deep freezer.
Oh, okay. Cool. So, what's the history of Dorothy? Do you guys know?
No, so when we first started like trying to put things into our studio, we were just going to like different like thrift stores to find creepy objects.
Mhm.
And the one that I went to, the lady that works there, she is a relative of mine, and she was like, there's actually 2 really creepy dolls down in the basement. And she's like, they've been here for a while and no one is bothering to pick them up and take them home. She's like, so if you want them, I'll give them to you for free. And I was like, okay, score. And so that's how we brought Dorothy and Barbara in here. And then I think Linda and I were just messing around and we were like, what's your name with our devices? And it came up with Dorothy. And we're like, okay, your name is Dorothy. I think one of our biggest mistakes was giving it a name. And we've even been told by certain people that that was a mistake of ours. Like we gave it its own identity.
But we've also tried to ask it about itself, and it says it's from ancient times. It won't give us a definitive age, like she would say, "How old are you?" And it would say 5, 7, 15, and then some, back down to a really small number. And I've told them for a while, I said, I don't know what's in this thing, but I don't feel like it's ever been human, just because it's kind of taking on the identity with the doll. But then when you ask it, tell us about yourself, it wants to be very deceitful. So I'm like, I don't think this thing has ever walked the face of this earth. So,
But it's very protective over Leva, which is, it's odd to me, but I think it's because Leva had taken such
well, honestly, Annabelle did that to that girl that owned her, and then started attacking the boyfriend. So, I mean,
but I'm saying like,
because I'm the one that actually took her investigating with me. It doesn't like my daughter,
Really?
really.
Hmm.
How'd that sound like scratching?
I
Anyway.
hope you guys sleep good tonight. And don't, so, what are some of your favorite pieces of equipment to use?
I love a good Ovilus. I love it where I can actually visually see the words, because spirit boxes, I used to love them, but now I can't stand them because it's hard for me to hear them.
Yeah.
But a good REM pod.
Mm-hmm.
Those are my favorites.
I like our music box, and I also like our necrometer. There's something over there. I'm not getting up. Something get me. Sorry. I like our app that we use, Necrometer. Kayla's gonna get sucked in the freaking curtain. I'm gonna laugh.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that about apps. Do you guys use apps? And
Oh yes.
yeah.
We use Necrometer, and then we also another one we use is Spirit Talker. Those are our two favorite ones we use.
Well, Caitlin is starting to use Ghost Tube. Mm-hmm. We're learning.
Okay. Yeah, I think I had that one before. Um, I don't know if it's still on my phone or not, but I know I had it for a while. And I used to like to use it when I first got, these dolls. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But now I like the REM pods, and I like my digital recorder for EVPs. I've had some pretty good responses on my digital recorder.
We also have the laser quite a bit too.
We use
Oh,
that.
really?
With the
Yeah.
I have one. I've never had any success with it, so it's
I don't think we did
I don't think we
either,
did.
but we haven't used it very often. Well, we will, like I said, if we go to the larger locations, but our smaller locations, or if we're here in the studio investigating or at a cemetery, we never use it. We mainly use like a spirit box, or the REM pod or the music box, and we the apps when we go out.
But we like to just sit and listen. Like we want not have nothing on, just sit in the hallway or wherever we're at. You get more. You can hear more.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever tried doing the Estes method?
Yeah, we have. I think we've done it at Whisper Estate in Mitchell, and we also did it at Indiana State. So we've decided we're going to start trying a lot more experiments, start playing with the music box more at locations. So,
So how did it go when you did that the Estes method? Do you have any good results?
That was weird because that's the first time I ever done it when we went to Whisper Estate. I didn't even know what it was. It just
I
stuck
think
me
we
in a
had.
closet.
I think we had good responses through the Estes at Whisper. Not so much really at Indiana State, kinda, but mainly really good ones at Whisper.
Do you guys have any places to investigate? So, like here, right outside of Houston, there's a place called Old Town Spring, and it used to be like an old settlement that turned into a town. Native Americans lived there at one time, and of course, the white man came there and pushed them out. There was like a massive fight and slaughter basically over there. Then the surviving Native Americans, they put a curse on the town, right? Um, so like now it's like a hot spot. Everyone goes there at night. I don't say everyone, but it's pretty popular, And I've been there, man, it's a great little place to go visit, especially at night. In the daytime or at night, because in the daytime it's a beautiful little town. All those old houses are now like little shops and little restaurants or what have you. So it's a cool place to go visit in the daytime. But at nighttime it's like really spooky. Do you guys have any places like that?
We have a few little spots, but nothing major.
Mhm.
The big one I think a lot of people go to around here is Tunnelton. It's a old train tunnel that runs through the town of Tunnelton, but everybody just calls the tunnel Tunnelton.
Mm-hmm.
And we also another big one that we used to go to in high school was a cemetery called Bridgewater.
Yeah, that was a good one.
But besides that, we really don't. We have a lot of Native American like spooky spots, but unfortunately, a lot of them's private property, and
The people don't want you messing
yeah,
with it.
or
because
if you, I don't. A lot of times around here, if it's Native American, like they try to keep you away from it.
Yeah.
I mean, in a way, I guess it's kind of smart.
Yeah.
I don't want to mess with Native stuff,
What was that?
What the?
What was that?
I'm about to heat
Oh,
myself.
What was it?
Calm it down.
I put my legs over you. I thought something was gonna run out of there.
So what was that? Because I heard something too.
I have no
literally
idea.
no clue.
It sounded like I don't know what the hell it sounded like. What did it sound like to you guys?
Like screeching.
Some demons. We just talked about demons. Told you they're
Yeah.
real.
I think I'm having heart
We
palpitations.
talk about like Native American bad. I mess with that. And like, yeah,
Oh
that's
my gosh.
That's pretty crazy. This is probably my favorite episode ever. Yeah.
Oh.
Maybe I don't want to stay on that up here.
Well, I hope whatever is doing this stays over there in Indiana.
Yeah,
Yeah, my mom says I heard it. Yeah.
that's wild. Like I'm not fully composed yet.
Yeah, and like y'all all jumped at the same time. I heard it. Y'all all jumped. I was damn near expecting to see something pop out on the screen, but
Oh my god, I would have literally
Nah.
probably crapped my pants.
Surprised Linda didn't take off running because if anything like this happens, Linda's gone. She leaves us behind.
She really does.
How'd you see? I threw my leg over top of you guys, so whatever was going to come out, it's going to get you our own legs, not mine.
Yeah.
that's pretty good. Yeah, I can't go back. I can't wait to go back and rewatch this. It's really pretty good. If anybody's listening to this, because this will be on Spotify, you need to go to YouTube and check it out. I think you guys will have a lot of fun with it. And this ought to be a contest. Count the orbs. How many orbs we find?
Well, I think it's not like a drinking contest. Cause
Yeah, there you go. Every time you see an orb, take a shot. Every time you guys turn around, take a shot. Yeah. That's pretty good. So what's coming up for you guys? What's your next investigation?
So we actually just kind of started our own little like sit down podcasty thing, kind of to pull us through the winter here because Indiana's winters are horrible. But the beginning of the year, we have plans for going back to Waverly Hills, and this time we're going to be filming it. Where else are we going?
Randolph County because
Yeah,
we didn't film.
We didn't get to film Randolph, so we're going to go back there. We're going to go back to Rockville, but right next door to Indiana State, and we're going to go to the infamous Billy Creek
Yes.
Village. And
We have
And
a few
then,
others.
I know that I'm taking Leva and Linda's not going. We're going back to the Monroe house. So that we have at least 4 definites that we're going to.
Yeah.
And there's more that we have in the
Planned.
we're talking about it. We haven't fully committed to anything yet because you just never know when we're going to be able to get into those locations. So
it's like going all the way to the wall.
I heard a thud, or like it sounded like a thud.
it was definitely a footstep.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! If there's someone out here, I'm gonna freaking karate chop someone on the throat.
How about in your lap?
Yeah, I know.
So Cool, man. Well, do you guys ever go to any Paracons or anything?
No, but we've actually talked about.
Yes, me and Josh talked about that when I was sitting there. We're like, hey, we need to do that. Yeah, we've talked about going to the one in Nashville in a couple of years. That was
Cool.
Caitlin.
Okay.
Ooh,
Well,
yeah.
okay.
We're really looking into that next
Yes.
year. We're
Mhm.
hoping that next year is going to be our big year.
Mhm.
We're going to start getting out there a lot more.
And you guys want to talk about any of your channels, where people can find you guys?
Yeah, you can find us on YouTube at Paranormal Coven, and you can follow us on Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram at paranormal.coven.
Cool. Do you guys have a website yet or anything?
No, not yet. We're actually in the works of that.
Cool, man. And last but not least, what kind of advice would you have for beginners who want to get into the paranormal field?
Well, that's a good question. I don't think any of us have been asked that question yet.
Not.
Be patient.
Mm-hmm.
Go in with an open mind. Don't expect to get evidence right away, because it probably won't happen, but just keep up on it, and eventually you will catch something.
I would say for me is always go with people that you can trust. If you choose, to take your friends along, and
That's a big key.
yeah, or just always make sure that you are protected
That your
because of
intentions
the
are right.
elements of some of these locations. Could it be indoors, outdoors? But just always try to keep yourself safe and
Mm-hmm.
And maybe take someone with you that's not a non-believer, because it's always fun to make the non-believer a believer.
But I would say recommend also to that, if you're going to take somebody with you, take smaller groups.
Yeah.
Yes.
The
Don't
bigger
take
you can't hear nothing. We've done that.
Oh, and a flashlight is your worst enemy.
Yeah.
unless you really need to turn it off.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I agree with that. I was going to ask you something else. Forgot I was going to ask you. But Leva, do you have any advice for a beginner?
I just think you should be open minded and go for it. That's what I did.
Yeah, I would agree with that, and probably be respectful of anywhere that you go. Just to the spirits and whoever owns the property. What are you guys hearing over there?
Like her chair moved across the
This has turned into an investigation podcast, I think.
We can't see anything beyond the camera.
Okay.
That's the worst part.
That should be the name of your podcast, Beyond the Camera. There you go.
Yeah.
Well, cool, man. Maybe we'll just stay here all night long and just watch what goes on.
And I do think everybody should take a non-believer, because out of all 5 of us that's in the group, Josh is definitely a non-believer.
Really?
He is.
Okay. Yeah, that's good too. Always bring someone who's kind of skeptical. I think that's a good idea.
Well, until he heard somebody calling for his name at Randolph.
Yes.
And then he was like,
I'm like,
What?
nobody said your name. But if you ask him, he's oh, somebody did. Don't worry.
Yeah.
He's always something.
Well, cool beans. I do appreciate you guys coming on. We're getting ready to wrap up here, but anything you guys ever need, you guys want me to promote anything for you guys? You guys want me to share anything out? I'll be happy to do it. Just hit me up, send me a link, whatever you want to send me, and I'll share it for you guys. I'll be happy to do that for you.
we greatly appreciate that.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah, we've had a blast.
Cool, man. Yeah, but I've had a blast too. Like I said, I think this is probably my favorite episode now. By a long shot, just from the orbs itself. And like I said, anybody watching or listening on Spotify, you got to go to YouTube and check it out, because there were some pretty cool orbs going on and some sounds going on, and you guys moving at the same time and jumping at the same time was pretty cool. Well, cool beans. Everyone, I've got a show actually on Sunday, not Monday. There'll be a team from the UK, so I'll be doing it like, I don't know, 9, 10 o'clock here, 3, 4 o'clock their time. So yeah, it's gonna be an early show on Sunday. So you guys check it out. of course, I'll post about it. But like I said, it won't be a Monday. It'll be a Sunday show. So we'll see you guys next Sunday. You guys hold on real quick. And everybody else, you guys have a great night. Let me see if I can find out how to end the show. It's not working. Oh, here we go.